Crashing the Party by Jansen Davies. Chapter 1. Beyond the Reach. The silence of deep space was absolute. Commander Steven Collier floated in the cockpit of the Odyssey, his gaze fixed on the shimmering veil of stars beyond the viewport. Earth was a memory now, distant, blue, and fading. His mission: to test the limits of human endurance and technology by venturing farther than any astronaut had ever gone. Past Pluto, past the Kuiper Belt, into the unknown. The ship hummed with quiet efficiency. Life support was stable. Navigation systems held course. But then, without warning, the hum faltered. A sharp jolt threw Steven against his harness. Alarms blared. Red lights pulsed across the console. The artificial gravity flickered, and the ship lurched violently. "Odyssey, report!" Steven barked, but the system was already collapsing. Communications with Earth went dark. The navigation array blinked out. The stars outside twisted unnaturally, as if space itself had bent. Then came the descent. The ship spiraled toward a planet that hadn't been on any chart. Its surface glowed with emerald forests and silver oceans. The atmosphere readings, miraculously, were breathable. Gravity was Earth-like, but the Odyssey was no longer gliding. It was falling. Steven braced for impact. The crash tore through the forest canopy, scattering alien foliage and sending shock waves through the ground. When the dust settled, the Odyssey lay broken and smoking in a clearing surrounded by towering bioluminescent trees. Steven staggered out of the wreckage, his suit torn, his helmet cracked. He gasped and found air, real air, cool, slightly sweet, and breathable. He was alive, but he was not alone. From the shadows emerged figures. Tall, slender, with green-tinged skin and large black eyes that shimmered like obsidian. They moved silently, their presence eerie and graceful. Steven reached for his sidearm, but a voice echoed in his mind. "Do not be afraid, Earthling." He froze. The voice wasn't spoken. It was inside his head. "You will come with us. The Queen awaits." Steven's heart pounded. He was stranded, surrounded, and being summoned by a telepathic alien monarchy. He had no choice but to follow. Chapter 2. The Green Horizon. The forest shimmered with an eerie bioluminescent glow. Leaves the size of sails rustled in a wind that didn't stir the air. Steven walked between the silent sentinels, 5 of the tall, green-tinged female aliens, escorted like a prisoner, though none had touched him. Their eyes unnerved him, black, liquid, depthless. They didn't blink. They didn't speak. But their thoughts pressed against his mind like gentle waves. "You are not harmed. You are far from home. You are a curiosity." Steven tried to respond, thinking words back at them, but his thoughts felt clumsy, like shouting underwater. The aliens didn't react. They simply walked, gliding over the mossy terrain with impossible grace. The trees parted ahead, revealing a vast valley bathed in twilight. In the center stood a structure, part palace, part living organism. Its spires pulsed with soft light, and its walls seemed to breathe. Vines coiled around crystalline towers. A waterfall of silver mist cascaded from a floating rock above the central dome. Steven stopped in awe. What is this place? This time the answer came not as a thought, but as a whisper in the air. "You stand before the heart spire," said a voice, female, melodic, and unmistakably spoken aloud. Steven turned. A woman stood at the edge of the clearing, human in form, impossibly beautiful. Blonde hair cascaded down her shoulders. Her eyes were violet, her skin flawless. She wore a gown that shimmered like liquid starlight. She smiled. "I am Azaria, queen of this world." Steven's breath caught. "You're human?" She laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "No, but I can be whatever I wish to be at the moment." She stepped closer, and the aliens around Steven bowed their heads and vanished into the trees. "I saw you in their minds," Azaria said. "Your shape, your voice, your loneliness." Steven's pulse quickened. "You can read their thoughts. I am their queen. Their minds are mine to touch." He took a step back. "What do you want from me?" Azaria tilted her head. "Isn't it obvious? You crashed my party, Steven Collier. Now you're the guest of honor." She extended her hand. "Come, there is much to show you." Steven hesitated, then took her hand. It was warm, real, and as they walked toward the palace, he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd just stepped into a dream or a trap. Chapter 3: Queen of Illusions. Steven's footsteps echoed through the palace halls, though the floor beneath him felt soft, almost organic. The architecture defied logic. Walls curved like petals, ceilings shimmered with constellations that shifted as he passed. It was beautiful and deeply unsettling. Azaria led him with a dancer's grace, her gown trailing behind like liquid moonlight. Servants bowed as she passed, more of the green-skinned, black-eyed beings, mostly females, their minds silent now. Steven felt the weight of their stares, but none approached. "You're wondering how I speak," Azaria said, glancing over her shoulder. Steven nodded. "Your people use telepathy. You speak aloud." "I choose to," she said. "It pleases me to shape sound, to feel breath, to mimic your kind." He frowned. "Why mimic me?" Azaria stopped before a massive door carved from translucent crystal. "Because you are rare, and rarity is intoxicating. Being a queen can be quite boring." The doors opened without touch, revealing a throne room bathed in violet light. At its center stood a throne grown from living vines, pulsing with slow rhythm. Azaria ascended it and sat, her gaze never leaving Steven. He remained standing. "I have questions," he said. She smiled. "Of course you do. But questions are so tedious." Steven stepped forward. "Why did you change your form? Why do you look human?" Azaria's eyes glinted. "Because I wanted you to see beauty, familiarity, desire." He stiffened. "You think I'll trust you because you look human?" "No," she said. "I think you'll stay." Steven's heart thudded. "You don't know me." Azaria leaned forward. "I know loneliness. I know the ache of isolation. I know what it does to the mind." He said nothing. She rose and descended the steps, approaching him slowly. "You've traveled farther than any of your kind. You've left behind everything, and now you've crashed into a world that wants you." Steven held her gaze. "Wants me for what?" Azaria touched his chest, just above his heart. "To be seen, to be understood, to be possessed." He stepped back. "I'm not yours to possess." She laughed softly. "Not yet." Steven turned away, his mind racing. He needed a plan. He needed allies. He needed to escape. But for now, he was alone, and the Queen was watching. Chapter 4: Palace of Echoes. Steven's quarters were luxurious but unsettling. The walls pulsed faintly like the inside of a living creature. The bed was soft, shaped to his body, and the air smelled faintly of lavender and honeysuckle. A translucent screen displayed alien constellations, shifting slowly as if watching him back. He paced. Azaria's flirtation had left him rattled. Her beauty was calculated, her charm weaponized. She wanted something, and Steven didn't intend to be anyone's trophy. He tried the comms on his suit again. Nothing. No signal, no Earth, no Odyssey, just silence. A soft chime echoed through the room. Stephen turned as the door slid open. A figure stepped in, female, green-skinned, slender, with wide black eyes. She carried a tray of food, glowing fruits, steaming broth, something that looked like bread but shimmered like crystal. She hesitated at the threshold, frightened. Stephen raised his hands slowly. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The servant stepped forward, eyes wary. She placed the tray on the table and turned to leave. "Wait," Stephen said. "What's your name?" She paused. Her voice was quiet, melodic. "Riella." Stephen nodded. "Thank you, Riella." She glanced at him, surprised. "You speak gently." "I'm not here by choice." Riella studied him. "Few are." Stephen frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked toward the door, then back at him. "The queen collects. She reshapes. She desires what she cannot understand." Stephen stepped closer. "Are you like her?" Riella shook her head. "I am what I was born. A servant. She is what she chooses. A queen." He sat down. "Do you know how I can leave?" Riella hesitated. "There are ships, hidden, forbidden." Stephen leaned forward. "Can you help me go home?" She looked at him for a long moment. "Perhaps. If you are kind." Then she turned and left, the door sealing behind her. Stephen stared at the tray of alien food, his mind racing. He had an ally now. Maybe. But in the Palace of Echoes, even kindness could be a trap. Chapter 5. The Servant's Smile. The next morning, Stephen awoke to silence. No alarms, no hum of engines. Just the soft rustle of alien wind through the palace's breathing walls. He sat up, disoriented, and found the tray from last night untouched. Hunger gnawed at him, but suspicion gnawed harder. The door chimed again. Riella entered, carrying a fresh tray. This time she didn't flinch when she saw him. "You didn't eat," she said softly. Stephen shrugged. "Didn't trust it." Riella set the tray down. "It's safe." "I eat the same." He studied her. "You're not like the others." She tilted her head. "Because I speak?" "Because you care." Riella looked away. "Caring is dangerous here." Stephen stood. "Then why are you helping me?" She hesitated, then met his eyes. "Because you're not like the others either." He stepped closer. "You said the queen collects. What happens to the ones she keeps?" Riella's voice dropped to a whisper. "Some become pets. Some become statues. Some forget who they were." Stephen's blood ran cold. "She erases them. She reshapes them. Not just bodies. Minds." He clenched his fists. "I need to get out of here." Riella nodded. "There's a hangar. Hidden beyond the trees, in the land of red sand, old ships, forbidden technology. Can you take me there?" "Not yet. Too many eyes, but soon I will try." Stephen exhaled. "Why are you risking this?" Riella gave a faint smile. "Because once I was like you. Curious, defiant, whole." He stared at her. "You're not whole now." She touched her temple. "She touched my mind. Not all of me came back." Stephen's voice softened. "I'm sorry." Riella shook her head. "Don't be. Just don't let her touch yours." A chime echoed through the room, 3 tones, sharp and urgent. Riella stiffened. "She's coming." Stephen's heart pounded. "The queen?" Riella backed toward the door. "Act like you're enchanted. Like you want to stay." Then she was gone. Moments later, the door slid open again. Azaria entered, radiant and smiling. "Good morning, Stephen," she purred. "Did you dream of me?" Stephen forced a smile. Hard not to. Azaria's eyes sparkled. "Good. Because soon you won't dream of anything else." Chapter 6. Whispers Across the Stars. Far beyond Azaria's lush dominion, the stars were listening. On the volcanic moon of Cyrex, Queen Thalassa of the Emberkin watched the transmission with narrowed eyes. A human, alive, breathing alien air, speaking with Azaria. The footage was grainy, intercepted through psychic relay, but the image was clear enough. Thalassa's claws tapped against her crystal throne. "Send a scout. I want him." On the crystalline world of Lurea, Queen Nyx of the Mirror-born floated in a chamber of refracted light. Her mind brushed against the galactic web, sensing the ripple. A new species, a new story, a new trophy. She whispered to her courtiers, "Prepare the fleet. We're going shopping." And on the war-scarred planet of Draxil, Queen Vorga of the Iron Brood snarled. Her empire was built on conquest, and nothing stirred her blood like a challenge. A human, untouched by the hive? That would not stand. She roared to her generals, "Launch the swarm!" Back on Azaria's world, Steven sat in his quarters, unaware of the storm gathering above. Riella had not returned. The palace felt quieter, tense. He stared at the stars through the translucent ceiling. Something was coming. He could feel it. Then the sky cracked. A sonic boom shattered the silence. Alarms blared across the palace. Steven ran to the balcony and saw it. Ships descending, sleek and jagged, bearing sigils he didn't recognize. Fire streaked across the sky. Energy blasts lit the horizon. Azaria appeared beside him, her form flickering with rage. "They dare invade my realm," she hissed. "They want to take what is mine." Steven turned to her. "They're here for me." Azaria's eyes burned violet. "Yes, you are more valuable than I imagined." She vanished in a shimmer of light, leaving Steven alone as the sky erupted. The party had just been crashed. Again. Chapter 7. The sky burns. The sky was no longer blue. It burned with streaks of plasma fire and the shriek of alien engines. Steven stood on the palace balcony, watching as ships from 3 rival worlds tore through the atmosphere. The Heartspire's defenses flared, organic turrets rising from the ground, launching bursts of violet energy into the sky. But the invaders were relentless. Queen Thalassa's Emberkeen ships moved like molten knives, slicing through the clouds with fiery trails. Queen Nyx's mirror-born vessels shimmered in and out of visibility, refracting light and launching crystalline projectiles. Queen Vorga's Iron Brood swarmed like insects, their jagged hulls bristling with weapons. Steven ducked as a blast struck the palace wall, sending shards of living crystal flying. Azaria appeared beside him, her form flickering with fury. "They dare violate my realm." "For you," Steven backed away. "I didn't ask for this." Azaria's eyes glowed. "You are mine." "No," Steven said. "I'm not." She raised her hand and the palace responded, walls shifting, corridors sealing, vines coiling into barriers. But it wasn't enough. The invaders were landing. Steven ran. He sprinted through the twisting halls, dodging collapsing arches and fleeing servants. Explosions rocked the structure. Alien soldiers clashed in the courtyards, green-skinned defenders against fire-cloaked warriors, mirrored assassins, and armored brutes. He reached the outer gardens, breath ragged, heart pounding. A blast struck nearby, throwing him to the ground. He rolled, scrambled to his feet, and ran again. Into the forest, away from the palace, away from the queens. He didn't stop until the sky was quiet again. Smoke drifted through the trees. The battle had moved elsewhere. But Steven knew it wasn't over. He was the prize, and every queen wanted to claim him. Chapter 8. Flight and Fury. Steven ran until his lungs burned. The forest ended, and a landscape of jagged peaks and red sand appeared. Fires crackled far in the distance. The sky flashed with the aftershocks of orbital combat. Somewhere behind him, the heart spire groaned, wounded but not fallen. He didn't look back. Rocks tore at his suit. Sharp alien outcroppings sliced his arms. But he kept moving, deeper into the wasteland, away from queens and crowns and the madness that had turned him into a prize. He stumbled into a ravine, slid down a sandy slope, and landed hard in a shallow stream. The water was cold, real, grounding. He drank, he breathed, he listened. Silence. Then, movement. Steven scrambled behind a rock, heart pounding. A figure emerged from the trees, slender, familiar. "Riella," he whispered. She knelt beside him, eyes wide with urgency. "You shouldn't have run." "I had to," he said. "They're tearing each other apart." Riella nodded. "For you. I didn't ask for this." "No one ever does." Steven looked at her. "Why are you here?" She reached into her cloak and pulled out a small device, sleek, metallic, humming with power. "A beacon. It will guide you to a hidden hangar. There's a ship, old but fast, powerful enough to take you home." Steven stared at it. "You're helping me escape?" Riella hesitated. "Yes." "Why?" She looked away. "Because I remember what it's like to want freedom." Steven took the beacon. "Come with me." Riella shook her head. "I can't, no matter how much I want to." He stepped closer. "She'll come after you." "She already has." Steven saw it then, faint scars along her temple, like circuitry burned into flesh. "She touched your mind," he said. Riella nodded. "But not all of me is hers." Steven gripped her hand. "Thank you." She smiled, sad and fierce. "Go." Before the sky burns again, he ran. Behind him the angry minds whispered. Above him the stars watched, and ahead salvation waited in the dark. Chapter 9. The Cave and the Key. The cave was hidden beneath a mountain, nestled in the cavity of a massive, glowing rock. Steven ducked inside, heart still racing from the run. The air was cool and damp, the silence broken only by the distant rumble of orbital thunder. He activated the beacon Riella had given him. A soft pulse of light blinked in his palm, then projected a map, lines of alien script, a glowing path leading deeper underground. He was close. Footsteps echoed behind him. Steven spun, ready to fight, but it was Riella. She stepped into the cave, her cloak damp with mist, her eyes wide with urgency. "The others are closing in. You only have minutes, maybe less." Steven nodded. "Then come with me." She froze. "What?" "Come with me," he repeated. "You said you remembered freedom." "You helped me. You don't belong to her." Riella looked away. "I can't." "Yes, you can," Steven said. "You're still you. You're still fighting." She shook her head. "If I leave, they'll hunt me." "They'll never stop." Steven stepped closer. "Then let them try. We'll outrun them. Together." Riella's eyes shimmered. "You don't know what she really is." "I don't care," he said. "I know what you are. You saved me. Let me return the favor." For a moment, the cave was silent. Then Riella reached into her cloak and pulled out a second beacon. "There's another ship. Smaller, hidden deeper. I was going to use it one day, I just never believed I could." Steven smiled. "Believe it now." They ran, through the winding tunnels, past glowing walls and ancient machinery. The hangar was a hollowed-out chamber of stone and steel, half forgotten, half alive. Two ships rested in the dark, sleek, alien, waiting. Steven turned to Riella. "You ready?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Let's crash someone else's party." They boarded the ship, engines flaring to life. Above them, the sky burned. But ahead, stars waited. Chapter 10. The Truth in Her Eyes. The ship tore through the upper atmosphere, its hull groaning against alien winds. Stephen gripped the controls, eyes locked on the stars ahead. Raella sat beside him, silent, watching the planet shrink behind them. He glanced at her. "We made it." She nodded, but her expression was distant. "You okay?" he asked. Raella hesitated. "There's something you should know." Stephen slowed the ship, letting it drift in orbit. "Tell me." She turned to him, her black eyes shimmering with something deeper than fear. "I wasn't always Riella." Stephen frowned. "What do you mean?" She exhaled. "I am Azaria." Silence. Stephen stared at her, heart thudding. "No, you're not." "I am," she said. "I was." She touched her temple. "I shaped myself to meet you, to seduce you, to own you. But when I saw your mind, your defiance, your grief, your hope, I couldn't do it." Stephen backed away. "You lied to me." "I freed you," she said. "I gave you the ship. I gave you the choice." He shook his head. "Why?" Raella, Azaria, looked out at the stars. "Because I realized something. I could mimic your form. I could speak your language. I could even touch your thoughts. But I could never be what you are." Stephen's voice was low. "Human." She nodded. "Free." He sat down slowly. "So, what happens now?" Azaria smiled, faint and sad. "I let you go." "I stay behind." Stephen stared at her. "You could come with me." She shook her head. "I would never belong. And your world would never forgive." He reached for her hand. "You're not the same queen who tried to possess me." "No," she said. "I'm the one who let you go. And now I must return." Azaria blazed in a flash of golden light and disappeared. Outside, the stars shimmered. Stephen set course for home, and behind him, the queen, who had once shaped herself to own him, now chose silence, solitude, and mercy. Epilogue. The Shape of Mercy. Earth's sun rose over the Mojave Desert, casting long shadows across the landing site. The capsule hissed as it cooled, its hull scorched from re-entry. Emergency crews rushed forward, but Steven Collier had already unstrapped himself, already stepped out into the dust and light. He was gaunt, changed, but alive. They asked him what happened. He told them about the crash, about the planet, about the queens, about the war, but not about her. Not about Riella. Not about the queen who let him go. Far across the galaxy, on a world still healing from fire, a woman stood alone in a garden of glass. Her skin shimmered with green and gold. Her eyes were black as space. She watched the stars, silent. She had taken many shapes in her life, goddess, ruler, monster, but never this one. She knelt beside a pool and saw her reflection ripple. Not Azaria, not Riella, just a woman who had once tried to possess something rare and chose, instead, to set it free. Above her, the stars whispered. And elsewhere, light years away, Stephen looked up at the same sky. The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.